Hey everyone, Chief Meteorologist David Paul here. It is 1:46 on Saturday, tracking some showers and thunderstorms coming on through the Wiregrass. Some of these have been strong to severe. Give me just a second here. We're going to allow some people to get onto the stream here on Facebook and then on the News 4 apps as well. And we're going to kind of guide you through here the next maybe hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. We'll see how it goes here. Again, no really bad weather moving on through the Wiregrass at this point, but there are some showers and some storms, and I know some of you are being impacted by some of the heavy downpours and the gusty winds and kind of just the dark-looking skies out there. Take a look outdoors. Let me show you what's happening outside in Dothan right now. We've got our flowers cam up, and you can kind of see the low nature of the clouds. Josh is in the back here directing, so we'll get this set up here and get rolling as we track these showers and storms. And there is, by the way, a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for eastern parts of Houston County. So there's a look outside in Dothan. This is on the west side of Dothan, looking off basically to the south and east. And there are some low-hanging clouds, some showers, some storms out there. And some of these are on the strong to severe side. Give me just a second here. I'm trying to see the trick here this day and age is you've got like a million different platforms to try to share all this information on. So try to make sure everything is set up and then everyone who wants to watch the stream can watch this stream. Okay, so there's a look at the area southeast of Dothan, looking at that cell right there from the perspective on the west side of Dothan. I'm going to bounce around, all right? This will be kind of casual today because I'm just running solo here, and we're just going to kind of guide ourselves through what is happening. I'm going to switch over to, look at that, that's cool, huh? A different camera. This is the southeast camera, and I'm going to move down to the southeast. So that's the cell that has now prompted that severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Houston County, looking southeast. We're at the Southeast Medical Center here, Southeast Health. Moving down to the southeast of there, some pretty good convection is occurring. That's a pretty cool looking, looks like a wall cloud, doesn't it? Go ahead and take that full screen, Josh. It's not. But there's been some weak rotation in this cell. That's really just an updraft area, so the air is rising, and rising air cools and condenses, and it forms kind of a lowering in the sky. So that's what we're looking at as we look again southeast of Dothan at the showers and storms moving on through the Wiregrass. Okay, let's switch over here. I'm going to get situated here, and then we'll roll on. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of Houston County. There's also another severe thunderstorm warning down there in the Panhandle, areas south of Crestview, that one between I-10 and the coast. And we've got some more storms here popping up over the far northern part of the Panhandle, Holmes County into Jackson County. But some of the worst weather, at least in the short term, is right on through the heart there of Houston County. Some of that activity is extending off to the east into Early County and the Blakely area. Okay, actually, I think the problem here, Josh, is I'm punching over to max 2 and we're on max 1. So if we can go over, like, well, the clicker's not working. Let's go over to max. They should be identical, actually. So, okay, I think we're on max 2 now. Okay, so there's a look at max 2. We've got two identical weather computers, and I'm controlling the second one here because I've got a screen I can actually watch what I'm showing you, as well as looking here on the TV. All right, so as we zoom in here to Houston County, we've got this thunderstorm moving on through areas basically between Ashford and Cottonwood right now. And within this cluster of storminess, there's been some indication of hail, and that's why that severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. That does include the eastern parts of Houston County and then does go into parts of Early County. Winds maybe a little gusty within the heart of this storm, but the main severe threat has been the pocket of hail out there. So I'm going to kind of readjust here. We're looking at Eastgate Park there, so just southeast of Eastgate, and then to the north of the Cottonwood Dragway. There's a little bit right there of pink showing up. That's the hail core with this cell. Let me readjust here because I had kind of set these shots up. So this was just a bit ago when that warning was issued. A little bit of a hail core there off to the southeast of Eastgate Park now. So it was there. The hail tracker as an algorithm doesn't update as quickly as the actual radar image. So we're watching that core right there. So that's the core of some hail. Looks to be small hail, 1 inch in diameter or greater makes the storm severe. I doubt we're seeing 1 inch hail from that cell, but there's certainly some small hail mixed into the atmosphere there right over the central part of Houston County. Let me go back a frame here. This storm is basically moving eastward. It's maybe pulsing a little to the north, may stay just south of Ashford and pretty much along Highway 84 there over the central and eastern parts of Houston County. So if you live in this area, you know, dark looking skies out there. I know you want to go outside maybe and take a peek, but we've got some lightning strikes. Best to just stay put away from exterior walls and windows just in case you get some of that hailfall to come on through. Gordon, you are in the path of this cell, and then again extending into parts of Early County. Some heavy rainfall now just south of Columbia into the central and southern parts of Early County. I'll move this over a little bit to the Blakely area. We had some decent rain come on through Blakely and some lightning strikes. This is not severe. This is just some good old-fashioned thunderstorm activity dropping off to the east-southeast. That will come on through Miller County around Mayhaw before too long also. But the main storm that we're watching, which is not real strong, to be honest with you, is in the central part there of Houston County. Again, it has sparked a severe thunderstorm warning, probably a marginal warning because the odds of 1 inch hail, not that great. And the winds have not been super strong, which is definitely some good news. I'm going to switch over and show you the wind flow. I'm going to go over to, let's go base velocity. So this is looking at the radar in Echo. Now, we don't have a great view of the storm because the radar beam is coming in like this and the storm is moving like that. So it's almost perpendicular to the actual motion of the storm. When the radar beam and the storm motion are parallel, we get a really good view of the wind speed. So we got to kind of factor that into what we're looking at here. And the Eglin radar down there in the Panhandle is out of service right now. So if I zoom down there to the Panhandle, normally it automatically switches over, but that radar recently has gone down. Not quite sure what happened, but there's the radar from Mobile looking at these cells coming on through parts of the Panhandle. So the area from I-10 southward to the coast right now in a bit of a radar hole. We'll keep that in mind as we monitor some of these storms coming on through because the most significant activity at this point is southward in the Panhandle area south there of Crestview in Okaloosa County and then into Walton County. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect as well. Now, the National Weather Service in Tallahassee covers this area. If you are new to the area, they issue a lot of warnings. I mean, their philosophy is to maybe warn a lot more than some of the other offices nearby. So we keep dissecting these storms because just because you're underneath a severe thunderstorm warning doesn't necessarily mean you will see severe weather in your spot. But we've got these warnings out there because some of these storms are pulsing in. There's a chance that the winds here could be very gusty, over 50 miles per hour. There could be some hail mixed in with that cell and certainly the chance for some hail in this cell. I'm not real concerned about winds with that cell there in Houston County, but certainly the chance for some hail with that cell. More showers down to the south there and to the southeast. A fairly unstable atmosphere. It's been a warm and humid day all across the Wiregrass. After being so cold earlier in the week with temperatures in the 20s, we've warmed up in a big way today. I'm going to switch over to let's see, a temperature map here and just kind of show you a little bit on the setup that we're looking at this afternoon. A lot of warm and humid air is moving in from the Gulf, and we've got some energy up above moving in also, and that will help produce these showers and storms. So these are air temperatures right now, 72 in Dothan, Blakely, and Enterprise, 71 in Troy, 76 Abbeville, 71 in Shipley. So very warm day. Dew point readings are pretty high also. The showers and storms coming on through the far southern part of Alabama into Georgia, and then southward into the Panhandle. Some big storms there off the coast of Panama City right now. Northward is a cooler and drier picture, and that's the air that settles in as we get through late today and into the overnight. So temperatures will be cooler as we go towards tomorrow morning, and we'll see some much less humid air come in for tomorrow too. I'm going to go back up to this graphic here, a close-up view of temperatures again. That's obviously a bad reading that just came in. 69 now in Dothan, 70 in Ozark, 72 in Enterprise. So temperatures fluctuating a little bit as we get the showers and storms to move on through. All right, back to radar, and there's the big view. And what we're doing is kind of give you a live stream just to keep you updated on what is happening. Again, some of these storms may prompt some warnings, so if you want to pop on the stream and check out what is happening, we'll cover it for you, and then you can maybe pop off. Now, we'll say areas now north of Dothan and basically west of, say, Fort Rucker, pretty much in the clear. I mean, we're not going to see any more storms pop up here at all. The action will be pretty much where this line is, from around Blakely to about Dothan, and then southward into the Panhandle. So the central and southern parts of the Wiregrass still in play, more or less, for some showers and storms. Now, some of the short-term modeling was indicating, with the actual cold front coming in, a few more showers and storms popping up as we get towards early this evening. There's a small chance of that, but the odds of those being severe are pretty slim. And really, the overall severe threat is pretty low, even though we do have a couple warnings in effect. Again, these are kind of marginal type warnings. So there's that cell just to the south of Ashford. That's the hail core that I'm looking at. Again, 1-inch hail makes it severe. Technically, is it 1 inch in diameter? Probably not there yet. Seeing a little bit of pink showing up, but no really significant hail core with that cell. Otherwise, it's pretty quiet in the area around Dothan, but south of town there, looking at some pretty good rainfall between Rehoboth, say, in 231. A couple showers here on the west-northwest side of town. And then as we go farther westward, a few showers scattered to, say, Pinkard, south of Newton, and then over there towards Hartford, looking at some decent downpours. Now, this is kind of a hit or miss type of a rain setup. Some areas will see some pretty good downpours, may pick up a quick half-inch or more. Some of you will completely miss out on the rain, which is why we had that rain coverage at about 70% today, because it will be good for some of you, not so good for others, and we need the rainfall, of course. Blakely now seeing the heavier rainfall shift southward, heads up there in Miller County, around Mayhaw, some of those storms coming in, and maybe some gusty winds. Again, the wind's not a real big concern. The reason that this warning has been issued is because of that potential for some hail, maybe a bit of an overkill type warning. I'll go back over to the hail plot. Again, this updates a little bit slower than the radar imagery. There's that little pocket of gray. You know, if we get big hail, what I've learned with this product is if you get some blues showing up, that probably is 1-inch hail, but we're not quite that high on the scale. It pulsed there briefly. You get a little bit of a light gray color, and that's when that warning was issued. So, yeah, the chance for some hail, again, not looking at any significant hail with that cell, and the winds are not too bad. I'll punch over to the base velocity, and I'll animate that. Again, we have to account for the fact that the radar beam is perpendicular to the motion, and there's been some gusty winds with that cell. They could be gusting over 30 or 40 miles per hour. Also, a little bit of a brightening here as we get some of a better, a radar view. Again, parallel to the storm motion gives us the best radar view. So there could be some gusty winds within this area. Also, maybe not 60 miles per hour. Technically, it's 58 to make it severe, but there could be some winds in excess of, say, 40 or 50 miles per hour in this line of showers and storms. So kind of a faceted threat here from some gusty winds and the chance for some hail. The central part there of Houston County, and then with this line to the south of Blakely, some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds. I'm going to do some other analyzing as I look at this cell here. Lots of data to take in here, and basically what I'm doing is kind of just guiding you through what I do behind the scenes on a day like this. When there's a known threat for some severe weather, behind the scenes, I'm pretty much doing this. I'm analyzing the radar. So I figure today, let's just all do it together, and we'll kind of figure out what is happening. So I'm watching that cell right there, and again, there's some small hail with that cell. I'm not seeing anything that really screams significant severe weather, but there's certainly some small hail just to the south now of Highway 84, off to the south and southeast of Ashford. 52 looks okay between Dothan and Columbia. Most of that rainfall just to the south of Highway 52. Rehoboth over towards about the National Peanut Festival Fairgrounds, it's really raining hard. So as I mentioned, some spots will get a quick half-inch or more of rainfall, and then some other spots will completely miss out on the rain. I'll go back here over the past hour, and kind of the area south of Dothan has done pretty well with rainfall, but you go, say, to the northwest side of town, and there's really been nothing right here. You go up here, outside of a couple raindrops, there's really been nothing, but if I put my hand right here, notice all that rain, repeated showers and storms coming on through, and there's more approaching that area south of Ashford. So another case of the haves and the have-nots, and that's pretty much been a summary, honestly, of the past year or so in the Wiregrass and beyond. The rain totals have varied just so much every single week, every single month, and really over the last couple of years if you go back and look at the data. All right, big view here. A severe thunderstorm warning if you are just tuning in here to this live stream, kind of a look at the weather across the area. The overall severe threat is low. There is no severe thunderstorm or tornado watch in effect today, but there are some storms that are producing some heavy rain and some gusty winds. There's a look from the Southeast Health Cam, looking off to the southeast from about right here in Dothan, looking down to the southeast there with that cell coming out through the central and eastern part of Houston County, and then back to the east there, looking at some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds in the area around Blakely. The hail core is not real significant with this cell. I'm going to stop this, and we're going to zoom in to what is the most significant part of this cell, and it's the area here in dark red. Now, we're not seeing any pink showing up here, which would indicate for sure some decent hail, maybe pea-sized or dime-sized, but there's at least some smaller hail, maybe some pea-sized hail, I guess, in here. There's some dark red showing up. So there's Pansy, that's Highway 84. Ashford is up here, so just a couple miles south and southeast of Ashford, and then just off to the southwest of Pansy, looking at that pocket of some heavy rainfall. So South Rocky, what is that, South Rocky Creek Road, Antioch Church Road right here. That Harvey Hicks Road right here, McDaniel Road there off to the south of 84, looking at that pocket of heavy rainfall. It is just kind of gliding its way eastward pretty slowly. So here's a little backtrack and then a forward track. So it's kind of moving more or less eastward. Looks like the hail core will pass probably just to the south of Pansy. What hail there is. Again, this isn't real big hail overall. This is probably pea-sized hail, maybe some dime-sized hail mixed in, not quite the 1-inch severe hail, but there are certainly some pockets of hail out there. Just to the south of 84, that is Creek Church Road and Eubanks Road, and we've got South County Road 75 there. So if you are in that area, Creek Church Road, just south of Pansy, in the bullseye for some really heavy rainfall and the chance for some small hail. That's the other part of this, because the dew points have come up so much today into the 60s. There's a fair amount of moisture in the atmosphere to produce some heavy rainfall, and the instability being created by the moisture and the warm air is allowing for fairly high cloud tops, which is helping to produce some of the lightning strikes across the area. So lightning out there, some small hail. Creek Church Road just to the south and southwest of Pansy at this hour. There could be a little bit of hail trying to form here around the Peanut Festival Fairgrounds. I'm going to check that out, and then we'll zoom over to what is happening south of Dothan. So let me go here, and I've got an idea as well. I've got my phone here. I'm going to go over. We are streaming now on multiple platforms. If I get this open up, we're streaming on the News 4 app, the First Alert Weather app, on WTVY.com, on the WTVY News 4 Facebook page, and I shared that over to my Chief Meteorologist, David Paul, Facebook page. I've got that open on my phone, so if you have any comments, there's a stream going right there on my Facebook page. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and post it there or comment on that post, and then I'll see it, and we can kind of go back and forth, and you can communicate with me and vice versa. And if you see any hail anywhere in the Wiregrass, in particular in Houston County, please share with me and let me know what you're seeing out there, because you're kind of the eyes to what is happening across the Wiregrass. So as I zoom in here, there's the National Peanut Festival Fairgrounds, and again, there's just a little pocket of dark red showing up, and that would indicate at least some small hail. This is outside of the official severe thunderstorm warning, but probably some small hail here. anytime you start seeing some dark red and then some pink or purple, you definitely have some hail. But dark red is kind of the threshold on this color table to indicate either really, really heavy rainfall or some small hail. In a situation like this, is probably some small hail. So right around the National Peanut Festival Fairgrounds, there's Hodgesville Road, and that will kind of basically cross Hodgesville Road and then move maybe a little bit south there of Wilson Quarters. So that's on the south side of Dothan. The circle is right there. So southward, we got the Walmart there. South of there to the National Peanut Festival Fairgrounds, it is really, really raining heavily at this point. Areas just to the south of Houston, of the fairgrounds in Houston County. Okay, farther eastward, let me see what else we're looking at here. That pocket of hail has gone away a little bit. Now these winds, as we get a better view with the radar, more of a parallel view with the radar beam, there are definitely some gusty winds showing up here just to the south of Blakely, moving towards Miller County. When I say gusty, probably in excess of 40 miles per hour. I'm going to pause this to right now, and then we'll kind of pinpoint this area here in, there we go, in Early County. And I've got a wind indicator I can put on here, which is right here. These are probably 40-some, yeah, 44 miles per hour. So we're a bit of ways away from the radar site. So this might not all be reaching the ground, but we probably have winds here at least in excess of 30 miles per hour. And there could be some gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour. That's probably the max with this cell. I don't think we're reaching the 58 mile per hour criteria for a severe thunderstorm based on wind, even though we do have that warning in effect. But there's a potential for those winds to gust over 50 miles per hour. So this is a warning probably issued more on potential rather than what is reality. It is not producing 1-inch hail. It may pulse briefly, probably not. It's not producing 60 mile per hour winds, but it may pulse at least over 40 to maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour. So certainly the chance for some strong activity to move into parts of Early County with that cell, and then kind of scattered there in Houston County, and about to move into, actually is moving now into the far northwestern corner of Miller County off to the north of Mayhaw. So showers and storms on this Saturday. If you are north or west of this area, you're pretty much okay, honestly. As we go northward here into Henry County and Dale County, back into Coffee County, looking okay. Still some showers and storms just north and west of Dothan, and those will come on through, and then we'll see some improvement. I want to completely rule out the threat for rainfall for the rest of the day, because as that cold front sags southward, there could be some new development here and there, but at least in the short term, there's going to be a lull after this line drops down to the east-southeast. Also some pretty good rainfall coming on through parts of Jackson County between Chipley and Mariana at this hour. Here's a big view across the Wiregrass. A few more showers and storms west and south of Andalusia, but areas north pretty tranquil for the time being. But I will watch for maybe some new development to drop southward by, say, 4, 5, 6 o'clock this afternoon into the evening hours, because we are still warm. It's 71 up there in Eufaula and 71 in Troy. So this is not the cold front coming on through. This is just some convergence in the atmosphere helping to produce some showers and some thunderstorms. I'm going to pop back over to the other computer here, and we're going to punch around to some of the sky cams that we have set up in the Wiregrass. Let's go over, Josh, to Southeast Health sky cam. Yeah. So I'm going to take you outside here in Dothan. Looking off to the north there, that's a pretty good indication of the instability in the atmosphere today. I'm going to turn on a wiper. We've got a wiper. We'll clear that up a little bit. So that's a look at a billowing cloud, a cumulonimbus cloud there, looking off to the north east side, basically, of Dothan. That wiper is doing its job. You can kind of see those low-hanging clouds, a very low cloud base today. And I'll explain why that is. And then there's a look at kind of the cauliflower top on that cumulus cloud billowing up into the sky. And there's a cumulonimbus. So you got basically a cumulus right here. And then on the right side, you've got a cumulonimbus where it goes a little bit higher up into the sky and transforms into a cirrus cloud way up there in the atmosphere. So there's a look off to the east, east-northeast of the city of Dothan. And this is a really cool camera, so I'm going to kind of pan the skyline. That's looking at the rain, basically, in Houston County. That's looking now to the south, just low-hanging, severe weather-looking clouds for sure. I mean, we haven't seen much of this in a long time. It's been a fairly quiet stretch, honestly, for months and months and months and months in the Wiregrass. Looking back towards downtown Dothan, again, low-hanging clouds, and we're going to see if some of that rainfall picks up here as we look at the city in the next, say, half hour or so. And then I'll pan this all the way around back to the north. Decent cloud there in the distance. So we've got that that cloud that is producing some rain here and there. Let's go over to the flowers cam. We had this up earlier. This is now on the west side of the city of Dothan. And I'll kind of just pan around here a little bit, take you to the west side and then the northwest side. So looking just west now, a little west there of Dothan. We've got this new shower popping up, and that should come into the city. I'm going to zoom in on that little radar that's up, and we're looking at that rainfall just on the west and northwest side of the city of Dothan. So there's 84 right here heading out of town. A little lowering of the cloud base. This is not a tornado setup, and that's something that shouldn't change today. This is really just a rain setup in our area. Let's punch over real quick to the Ralls in Enterprise. A little blue sky mixing in there. The atmosphere pretty quiet. This is in Ozark, Dale County. Looks pretty quiet there also. We'll punch down to Phoenix Springs. There's been some rain in the Panhandle, stormy looking skies there. Let's go over to, what else do we have? Headland is up. And maybe we can move this one around a little bit and see what is happening in Headland. Okay, that one is not moving for me. So I'll skip over that one and go back over to, let's go back over to the flowers cam and kind of keep this one up. And we'll monitor that. So what you're seeing there on the west side of Dothan is a very low cloud base. And the reason for that is if you look at the atmospheric structure and the way clouds form, you get rising air motion, of course. So the higher the temperature and the higher the dew point, really it's the dew point, the higher the dew point in association with the temperature, as that air comes up, it forms a cloud at a very low level. So, for example, if you had a temperature of 72 and a dew point of 30, your cloud base is going to be up here. But if you have a temperature of 72 and a dew point of 65, your cloud base is going to be much lower in the sky. So if you've lived here for any length of time, you've realized on days with potential severe weather, there's a very low cloud base. And sometimes you get very fast-moving low clouds, and that's because to get really significant severe weather, at about 4,500 feet, there's what we call a low-level jet stream that is just whipping at over 60 miles per hour, and that's why those clouds are always moving so fast on a significant severe weather day. If you go outside right now, you're not seeing that. You're seeing winds that are, much lighter up in the sky, basically. So the clouds are moving a little bit slower than they would be during a significant severe weather event. So that's one of the reasons why this is a lower end severe threat. Now, some of these storms that can pulse up there to 25 or 30,000 feet can tap some of the really strong winds and bring them down to the surface. But that's really going to be hit or miss in nature as we go through this afternoon. It looks like this shower is approaching the camera here. Decent rain on the west side of Dothan. Let's switch that over, Josh, and go to graphics full screen. So if you look at the radar, there's been some pockets of red here, and we're looking at this rainfall right here with that camera looking to the west of Dothan. Some decent downpours out there. That severe thunderstorm warning is ongoing in parts of Houston County into Early County. Again, I'm not seeing a significant severe threat with this cell. What hail cores that we had earlier, especially that one there, has pretty much gone away. Some heavy rainfall along 84 now in Gordon. I'm going to pause this and we'll zoom in and look at some of the winds first of all. So a good view here of the winds as we look at Early County and then into the northern part of Miller County. We've got pretty much a parallel radar beam to the motion of the storm. So a very good outbound look at the wind flow. And these areas in pink are winds that are at about 35 or 40 miles per hour, so not to the 58 mile per hour or greater severe threshold. So that warning really could go away. I'm sure they will not cancel it early, but I'm not seeing any indication of any severe weather in this severe thunderstorm warning area. And that's why we're doing this today, just to kind of dissect the atmosphere, because just because a warning is issued does not mean that you will see severe weather. But there's a chance, and we're watching it. I'll go over to that hail plot parameter, and there's really nothing showing up here. I mean, a little bit, you see that right there, a little bit of gray. There could be a little hail mixed in with that cell in Early County. As we go back to the west here, no indication of any hail with this storm moving on through Houston County. This is some heavy rainfall. Now, there could be some pulsing with this cell that produces some small hail, but I doubt we've seen any large hail anywhere with this cell. If you have commented, any of you, I have not seen it on my page. I'm going to punch over to the News 4 stream and see what kind of comments are coming in there. That is the main stream that we have running, and it might be easier to comment there. And if anyone is saying anything, I've got some comments. Let me see what we got. Turn myself down. All right, small hail in Lovetown 10 minutes ago, watching from Ozark. Let's see, Karen, where the cold front is located from Margaret. Okay, I'm going to do that. Flooding off John D. Yoder. Isn't that interesting? Some areas getting a bunch of heavy rainfall, and then some areas just kind of missing out. And that's kind of the case for today. I mean, look at that. Some heavy rainfall. You go 4 miles to the north, and there's really nothing significant happening. And I'll animate this, kind of emphasize that point. Notice in this zone, we've seen some pretty good rainfall steadily now for about an hour, where areas just to the north and areas just to the south haven't seen much of anything. So we're going to see some big totals, over an inch in some spots, and then some spots will get next to nothing today, and some spots will get just a little bit, maybe enough to get the roads wet, or 1/10 of an inch or 1/4 inch of rainfall. That warning should be expiring here sometime soon. Let's see what the information is here. I'm going to go off air to look at the timing on that one. That's not going to do it for me, is it? Come on, pop up, pop up, pop up. Not happening. Not happening. Okay, there it is. 60 mile per hour gust, penny size hail. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's see. 3:30 Eastern time, so 2:30. So. Yeah, I bet they'll keep that going until that point. Gusty winds, again, over 30 or 40 miles per hour. The winds this time of year, it matters because we don't have as many leaves on trees compared to the summertime. So a gusty wind, say at 40 miles per hour, if a tree is not leafed out, that wind kind of travels through that tree much easier, and there's not as much friction. If you have a tree that's leafed out, a 40 mile per hour wind could take down a weaker tree, but when the trees are bare, that's some good news because that wind can flow through. Now the pines, of course, are never bare, and a lot of the oaks out there, the live oaks and the water oaks are not bare either, magnolia trees, for example, so some of those can still feel the full brunt of the winds coming on through. All right, we had a question about where the cold front is, and let's see if I can pop that up easily here. Let me go, so I've got a couple different show elements here. I'm gonna go back over to this one and see if I can't just take this out. So there we go. There's a look at the temperature map across the southeast right now. I'm gonna zoom that in just a little bit. And there's the front, basically right on through the central parts of Georgia and Alabama. So it's 57 now in Birmingham, 56 in Atlanta. Rain cool 67 in Dothan, but many areas are still in the lower 70s in our area. So there's the boundary just to the north. There's a wind shift line right here, north winds, and then kind of a west wind, even a southwest wind. So that's where the focus, the convergence has been with that, the winds coming together, helping to lift that warm, humid air up into the showers and storms that are pretty much confined to where that boundary is in place right now over Houston and early counties. But as we go northward, we've still got some instability in the atmosphere. If I can find my future radar, let's see if I have that handy. Let me go back up here. What show am I in? I'm going to go to my analysis show. I'm going to punch around here a little bit. I'm going to find what I need to find. This is not pure severe mode because I'm trying to show you what's coming up as well. Let me go, where's my, here we go. All right, this is it. This, I think, starts at 4 o'clock. And there it is. So, yeah, that's the future radar at 4 o'clock, showing the showers and storms southeast of us at that point. But as that boundary comes in, you see just a little bit of a hint of that right there, just right here. So 5:10 with the actual cold front coming in, just a little hint in the modeling that there could be a lingering shower at that point, but then really nothing significant as far as any severe threat. Cooler air tonight. And then tomorrow, some sunshine, a few clouds linger, high temperatures in the middle 60s. So once we get through really what's happening right now, we'll be okay. Okay, I'm going to do a reset and start from the top here. And if you're just tuning in, we're watching these showers and storms move on through the Wiregrass. A very low-end threat for severe weather locally today. It is higher just south of us now with that cluster moving on through parts of the Panhandle. Some showers and storms eastward into Georgia. A good band of rainfall where they really need it. The worst drought really across the southeast is centered around Tallahassee. So really good to see that kind of rainfall setting up for that part of the Florida Panhandle today. 71 now in Troy, 71 Eufaula, 67 Dothan, 70 in Chipley. Again, that cold front north of us, but we've got this boundary, the winds coming together from basically Houston County into Early County, and that has produced some pretty good rainfall. Some gusty winds. This severe thunderstorm warning will linger until 2:30 p.m. I am not seeing any severe weather with that cell in Houston or Early counties. In fact, some of the strongest winds, over maybe 30, 40 miles per hour, are now into Miller County with that cell. Southward, pretty good activity off to the northwest of Panama City coming on through Destin. Those storms are moving to the east-southeast. So most of that activity in the Panhandle is along and south of I-10. And that cell there in Walton County has some gusty winds with it just by the motion of it, how fast it's moving on through Walton County. Those winds probably in excess of 40 or 50 miles per hour. The Eglin radar is down, so we don't have a good look at what's happening close up down there. But we've got the Fort Rucker radar working here, and we're using that to observe the storms both inland and then down there towards the coast. This cell had some hail with it earlier south of Ashford. That pocket of heavy rainfall is now in Early County, and it's just rainfall. I'm not seeing any indication of hail with that cell at all. In the city of Dothan now, there is some pretty good rainfall coming on through. I'm going to pause this to the current time, and let's zoom into the city of Dothan. And there's a look right along 84 of that rainfall, including in downtown Dothan. Kind of a split here because just to the south of downtown towards, say, the Flying J there on the circle, it's relatively dry, but right along 84 is wet. You get up there north up towards, say, Rural King and then up where the high school is, not raining very much at all. West side of Dothan here, there's the circle, that construction zone there on the circle. Northwest side is pretty wet right now. 84 heading out there towards John D. Odom is wet. And then you go north and west of there, and it's drying out up towards, say, Providence or the Highlands. No rainfall. But areas south here between 84 and 52, Flowers Chapel Road, pretty wet. This is basically moving eastward, so some heavy pockets of rain in the city of Dothan over the next probably 20 minutes or so. If you are considering leaving the house, as this comes in, just give it a little bit of time, and it will pass, kind of sliding to the east-southeast more or less. But in the short term, there's been some pretty good rainfall coming on through. Now, it hasn't rained everywhere heavily, but at least most of us are getting some sort of rainfall from this batch that is moving on through. I'll zoom out here a little bit, take you southward, and then take you eastward. We've got some decent rainfall over the border area of Houston and Geneva counties, off to the east of Malvern. Decent rain. Marist Crossroads, some decent rain. And then towards Southern Junction, some decent rain. Around Fayette, it's raining here and there, heavier north and to the west of town. And then as we look towards Houston County, there's some decent rain coming on through. Again, we've got this severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Should be canceled because I'm not seeing any threat of any severe weather with this cell. And that threat honestly never reached the criteria of 1-inch hail or 58-mile-per-hour winds, thankfully. But nonetheless, the National Weather Service in Tallahassee has this lingering warning until 2:30 p.m. Within Houston County, we've got pockets of heavy rainfall. East of downtown, along 52 to Webb, it's raining pretty good. Southward to Ashford, raining pretty good. Not a whole lot of lightning strikes with this part of the cell. There's been more lightning strikes here into Georgia, but even there, not real significant. There's a lightning strike at this point, north of Gordon into Early County. Ashford, heavy rainfall. Ashford, one of the spots in Point Southward that has seen some pretty good rainfall over the past hour, hour and a half or so. Decent rain off to the east now of Cottonwood, and pockets of dark red, so some heavy rainfall mixed into the general area of showers and embedded thunderstorms. Let's go farther eastward into Early and Miller counties and over towards Colquitt, and that's the area seeing the worst weather, which is, by the way, not in a warning right now, and any potential for some hail would be like right there, that little pocket of dark red off to the northeast of Colquitt, and we see some lightning strikes. And usually hail and lightning go hand in hand, because to get hail and to get severe hail, 1 inch in diameter hail, that's pretty significant. You have to have a lot of rising air motion. And when you have a lot of rising air motion, you have a lot of lightning. So if you have severe hail, you're going to have a lot of lightning. You're not going to have hail without lightning. So you look at that just alone, tells you, yeah, we're not really seeing much of a hail threat within that warning area. But there's little hail pulsing right here, and just, I know it's kind of a trained eye, but the fact that there's a funky little S shape right there kind of tells me that there's some pretty good inflow here, a little bit of downflow on the backside, and then right there in the middle is where we have that hail threat. So just off to the east and northeast of Colquitt, that's probably the worst weather that we have in Georgia or Alabama at this point. So some of those lightning strikes occurring with what is probably a small hail core. I'll switch over to the hail plot tracker, which again is a little bit delayed compared to the actual radar data coming in, but I'll find it here and punch over. It might show it somewhere in here if there's anything looking back several minutes ago. Maybe it'll update to, yeah, right there. So just a little bit, yeah, right there. Not much. I mean, it's not much. But yeah, you see that little spot right there? So that is right now basically right here. And it's just a little indication of hail. And you can see that from the dark red, and you can see that from the lightning that's occurring. But more than anything else, this is a beneficial rainmaker for southwest Georgia. That is for Miller County and surrounding areas of Early County, seeing some good rainfall. I wish they would just kill that warning instead of keeping it going until 2:30, but they'll keep it going until 2:30, and then this yellow box will disappear. I'm telling you what, there's no severe weather with this cell. I'm going to switch over to the winds. We'll break that down, and there are some gusty winds here. The strongest winds are kind of the leading edge of that cell into Miller County. It's well outside of that warning area, and where you see the pink showing up, those are winds in excess of 30 miles per hour reaching the ground. Could be pockets of even 40 miles per hour would not surprise me. Let me go over here and zoom in and then bring up my wind tracker and see if I can peg one of those. Yep, right there. So that's kind of the bullseye. 49 mile per hour wind. Now the radar beam, because this is shooting from Echo into Miller County, is several thousand feet up in the sky. So we're looking at elevated winds, but there's a chance that some of those elevated winds can make it down to the ground and maybe only lose 5–10% of what we're seeing. So at least 40 mile per hour winds, I would feel pretty comfortable saying they are reaching the ground there. 40 mile per hour winds in the northern part of Miller County, and then just off to the northwest of Colquitt. So some of these winds will come in. So very gusty winds, at least 30–40 miles per hour, and very heavy rainfall with that cell too, coming out through a little bit of a bowing segment there, which also lines up with those higher wind speeds as the cell moves down to the east-southeast at a decent clip. There's a look here just over the last several minutes, and just a little bit of a bowing feature there. So the winds are a little bit gustier from Colquitt off to the east, and just a little indication right here with the lightning strikes and that dark red of some small hail mixing in there across the northern part of Miller County. Let's go southward. Haven't focused on what's happening down here too much, but we will here real quick. Looking at Jackson County around Mariana, point southward to I-10. Heavy downpours, not seeing a lot of lightning strikes showing up here, so this is just more or less a rainmaker. Again, an area that really needs the rain, so we'll take it. A few lightning strikes here as we go towards Vernon. Some heavy rainfall between Vernon and Wausau right now. And then there's that cell. Again, we don't have the Eglin radar working. They must have had some kind of maybe a lightning hit or something happened. But there is a cell here just southwest of Red Bay that is pretty significant. That has sparked a severe thunderstorm warning just off to the west and northwest of Ebro. I'm sure the sky here is very, very dark. You've got lots of low-hanging clouds. You've got some pretty heavy rainfall with that cell, and probably some small hail mixed in also. And then some decent rainfall down to the coast, Laguna Beach over towards Panama City Beach, and Panama City down there towards Mexico Beach, looking at some decent rainfall. Weehawken is wet also. But the worst part of this cell is right here. There's Red Bay, Miller's Ferry, Miller's Bend, Bruce, and Battleground Forks. This is some hail, probably nickel-sized hail, dime-sized hail in that area, penny-sized hail roughly in the area off to the south and southwest of Red Bay. This is in the Florida Panhandle areas south of most of us, but that's the most significant storm southward in the Panhandle, and then northward there's that warning gone as of 2:30 because, again, it is not a severe thunderstorm, and really probably never was technically, but it did pulse with a little bit of hailfall earlier south of Ashford. There's some hail with that cell around Red Bay, and you can kind of see that storm is accelerating. So Youngstown area is north, maybe just north of Lynn Haven down there in Bay County. We'll see some significant activity from that cell. And this will likely hold together because it's in a good environment with warmth and instability from that moisture coming in from the Gulf. Northward here from about downtown Dothan eastward into Early County, it's still raining, and it's really not moving southward very quickly. I mean, this is a 1-hour animation, and some of these areas have seen some pretty heavy rainfall for the past hour steadily. So some spots picking up over an inch of rain. Farther westward, watching a few cells here west of Andalusia, a few more popping up south of Monroeville along I-65. Not seeing any indication of any severe weather with any of those cells. So we're bouncing back and forth here, watching the radar this afternoon, just in case anything turns severe. This is not a real high severe threat kind of day. It's a lower end threat day, a marginal threat day. There are no weather warnings in effect, so we're just kind of monitoring the radar. We call it babysitting the radar in the business, where you're just kind of keeping an eye on the radar just in case something happens. So we're kind of babysitting it together, if you will, monitoring what is happening across the area, watching for that little pocket by Evergreen to red level to see if there's any rotation with that cell. Nothing that concerns me whatsoever, but there's a little bit of an appendage right there. And again, the tornado parameters today are very, very low. To get tornadoes, you really want to have winds blowing in different directions as you go up into the atmosphere. And today, basically what we're seeing, I did a really cool graphic last night on Weather Extra at 10 o'clock, and it showed the winds from the surface all the way up into the sky to 25,000 feet. And basically all those winds as you go up are like this, from west-southwest to east-northeast. So you don't have the veering wind profile that would be very favorable for tornado formation. Now, I'm looking for something what I can show here. Okay, I've got this. I'm going to show you this. So one thing, when you have all the winds going in the same direction, it does create what we call helicity. And if these are winds down below and these are winds up above, the winds above are faster. So what does it cause that pin to do? It causes it to spin like this. So there's a chance you can get that sideways spin to be tilted upright and create some rotation. Now that usually happens, that process of taking sideways spin and making it vertical happens more likely when you've got a veering wind profile in the atmosphere. When you don't, you end up with some sideways spinning air, but unless you have a really, really vigorous updraft, you usually don't get that spin to go vertical. And that's one of the forecasting techniques I use to identify where tornadoes or severe thunderstorms can be really, really robust. And this is kind of a unidirectional type of a wind flow as you go up into the atmosphere. So a little science lesson there for you. All right, I'm back to the chat. Any questions in the chat? Now I'm on the News 4 Facebook page here. If you have any questions, I see one going back from Jerry. Is Headland going to get any more? Headland's probably fine in Henry County. Again, that little boundary with the cold front comes in by, say, 4 or 5 o'clock, may spark a shower, but no severe threat anymore in Headland. What else do we have? Anything else? Clayhatchee, Daleville, get any bad weather from Renee? Not seeing that. Looks like the same thing here. The boundary, the convergence is just south of you and east of you. So anything that comes in late today should just be some rainfall and likely not anything severe. All right, anything else? Flooding on Denton Road, is that what I saw? I would not be surprised if that happens in pockets, especially here into the eastern part of Houston County and then into Early County, because some pockets will get over an inch, 2 inches of rain over a fairly short period of time. And the ground is dry, but when you've got concrete, I mean, concrete is always going to hold water. So ponding on the roadways, always a concern, and just certain areas just tend to hold water. If there's a bunch of runoff in a very short period of time, there's usually some localized flooding. So that happens if it's dry or wet. Or anywhere in between. So yeah, some pockets of localized flooding cannot be ruled out, but overall not a significant flood threat kind of a day. So there's a look at what is happening in the Wiregrass right now. We're at 2:35 on Saturday. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm babysitting the radar today, and I might as well do it with you and share what we're looking at across the Wiregrass. We are in a marginal risk for severe weather, a very low end risk, and that risk is basically confined now to areas in Houston County southward and southeastward, and then down to the southwest too. But generally north of 84, that severe threat is pretty much over right now. And speaking of over, in the city of Dothan, the rainfall has come on through, so we can pretty much clear now the city of Dothan from any severe risk for the rest of today. What little severe risk there was is now over. Some decent rainfall just north of Gordon towards Mayhaw into Miller County. Miller County is one of those areas that we'll see, at least the northern part of the county, 1 to even 2 inches of rain before it's all said and done. And I'm thinking some of these areas will be pretty significant too. In Houston County, basically between, say, 52 and 84, this corridor is seeing some pretty good rainfall. And then south of 84, too, there's been some pretty good rain over the past hour or so. Now, some of that is coming to an end, but there are a few more showers off to the west there towards 231, southward into the northern part of Jackson County. But the Dothan area northward, so we're talking up to Headland, to Abbeville, over towards Ozark, to Enterprise. All of you are fine. There is no more severe threat. What little severe threat we had is over for you. The severe threat area, and just watch my hand here, basically from Miller County into Houston County and then down into the Panhandle to about Red Bay. This is some rain, the air a little more stable here. So this boundary south of I-10, these storms may pulse briefly over parts of Washington County, Jackson County, and then we look at the southern part of Houston County into Miller County and Seminole County. But again, these storms are not real significant at this hour, and the odds of them pulsing and becoming big-time severe thunderstorms are very, very low. Those odds are very, very low. But there are some thunderstorms out there and some decent downpours here and there. If you have any questions, again, I am monitoring on the Facebook stream. I think are we still streaming? Yeah, we're still streaming there. So let's see. Okay, let me see here. I got some questions. My phone updated. Dothan, East Sides from Steve, we're done. Yeah, Tammy and Rehoboth, the rainfall in Rehoboth is about out now. Looks like that's about to move away. Webb from April. Webb is about out of the rainfall. I'm going to zoom in here because most of that active weather is in Houston County. So I'm going to zoom in here to the Webb area. April in Webb, just north there of Ashford. Looks like the rain is now done in Webb. Yep, looks like it's gone. So Webb now pretty much out of that rain picture. Still some showers around Ashford. Enterprise, Miranda, you're done. Alba, Amber, you are done there as well. And then, yeah, Wilson got very little rainfall. Daleville is good. Tanya, no worries at all. And that's pretty much the setup today. I mean, some areas had some really good rainfall. Some areas did not. I'll go back here over the last 4 hours, and I'll go big view and animate this. So speaking to the nature of the scattered showers and storms. So pretty good coverage today overall, but you can tell some areas completely missed out. If I put my finger right there, yep, nothing happened there, but we have some rainfall south of there in Coffee County, Covington County, scattered activity. That rainfall that was coming in has pretty much gone away. And then we have this little band set up there from Houston from Dothan through Houston County into Early County. That was significant. A lot of steady rainfall southward towards Tallahassee, and then these cells kind of pulsing there in the Panhandle, gliding down to the east-southeast. So really hit or miss in nature today. Some of you did pretty well with rainfall. Some of you have missed out in large part. The winds are pretty much under control. I'm not seeing anything over probably 30 miles per hour at this point. The stronger winds with that cell in Miller County pulling out of our area, moving on through Georgia. That cell's still pretty strong. And then watching that area south of us in Red Bay in the Panhandle, that cell is pretty powerful and will produce some gusty wind coming through the northern part of Bay County. Let me zoom into that cell here. I'm going back to a 1-hour animation as we look at that cell south of Vernon, Washington County, pretty close to Ebro. And yeah, that cell's packing a punch. It is moving quickly from west to east, so just the motion alone is going to produce winds in excess of 40 miles per hour with that cell. Vernon, looking at some rainfall. The stronger storm just south of Vernon. This is in the southern part of Washington County, passing to the north of Laguna Beach and probably passing to the north of Lynn Haven. This is Bay County right here, and it looks like that cell may move towards Youngstown in Bay County along 231, probably in the next, say, 30 minutes or so. That cell has some staying power with it, so it may continue to produce some gusty winds and maybe some hail also with that cell as it moves off to the east-southeast. The other rain that is occurring farther northward, not real impressive. It's just rain, not a lot of lightning at all between Vernon and Chipley over towards Mariana along I-10. This is some light to moderate rainfall. I'm not seeing any lightning strikes with that activity. So there's some instability in the atmosphere, but it's not real robust instability today. So it's a general lower end severe threat. That is winding down for a good part there of Houston County. The northern and western part of Houston County, we're done with any severe threat. Jakin looking at some heavy rainfall, moving on through Miller County over towards Camilla over there in Georgia. Some decent storm activity out of the Wiregrass. As we go westward, a few showers and maybe a few lightning strikes here west of Andalusia and Covington County, but generally it's very quiet right now for most of the area. So we'll keep watching this for a little bit longer. The severe threat overall is winding down for our area. We had a little impulse there, move on through that, kind of enhance that threat briefly in Houston County into Early County. That activity has weakened, and it looks like the strongest storm will be moving into Washington County. I'm a little curious why they have not extended that warning into Washington County, because that one cell is the strongest cell we have in place. We don't have the Eglin radar coming in. For some reason, that radar site has gone down. But that's a pretty good cell with at least some small hail and some winds over 40 miles per hour. Could be higher than that, though, in some of the gusts passing around Ebro and then areas south there of Vernon, the far southern part of Washington County, and then into the northern and northeastern parts of Bay County in the Florida Panhandle. Farther northward, not bad overall, not bad. I wish we had more widespread uniform rainfall today. That would be very, very nice because it's so humid out there. It would be nice to kind of have a nice general soaking rainfall, kind of like what they've seen today in the Big Bend area of Florida around Tallahassee and points east of there. It's been raining pretty good, a nice widespread rainfall. South of us too, basically from Panama City over towards Sopchoppy has been pretty wet across the entire area. Northward, good rainfall ongoing, the southern part here of Early County into Miller County, some showers in Seminole County, some showers in Jackson County and Holmes County, some light rainfall north of I-10 here in Okaloosa and Walton counties, but no significant severe weather threat there at all. Now, there is a new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued by Mobile for Covington County with that cell. So let's go back up there to that cell in parts of Covington County. Let me zoom into this cell right here. This is the one that we were watching earlier for, that little appendage, that little hook area. Maybe some hail with this cell. I'm guessing that's what the warning is issued for. I'm going to punch over to the hail plot. So yeah, just a little hint of it right there. And can I pop up? I don't think I can pop up the text on here, but let's see what it says. Sometimes I wish I had my other app I could use because it's easier to share with you what the warning is. You can't see this, but it says, it's the same old. 60 mile per hour winds, quarter-inch hail. All those warnings it's just kind of a copy and paste. It doesn't really matter what the what the storm is, they just copy and paste the exact same warning, it seems like most of the time. So that's why we're here to kind of dissect the storm. Are we seeing quarter-size hail? Maybe in a very small area, there's some decent hail. It's not real widespread, though, but there's certainly some hail with this cell. And then as far as the winds go, I'm not seeing any indication here of real strong winds. That's a look at two different radars. It looks like the pocket of what wind we have is right here, south of Mount Union, and then north of Paul. Hey, Paul, nice name for a town. Let me zoom in here and see what we have. 47-mile-per-hour winds here using the Fort Rucker radar. Let me clear that out and punch over to the reflectivity. So yeah, right over Paul. There's some. This is just out of our area, by the way. There's some hail with this cell right in through here, the area of dark red. As I mentioned, if you were with us earlier, if you see dark red on this radar, that color scheme indicates at least some small hail. If you start seeing some pink showing up, then it indicates, fairly substantial hail. Maybe not 1 inch in diameter here, but at least some dime-sized hail, I would say, just to the south of Paul. This storm really isn't moving anywhere very quickly either. It's just kind of drifting its way off to the east, taking its time. So it's moving in an eastward direction towards Covington County, but it's not really accelerating. So the winds don't appear to be a big threat with this cell. There's a look at what wind we have is actually showing up to the north here, showing up right here where the hail core is showing up down to the south. Kind of weird to say by name as I look at a town, but that's the situation we're facing right now. As we look at Paul, and then you see that pocket right there of pink or purple. So that's the hail core with this cell. It's hailing for sure with this cell, and that's why that severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. That does include now a good chunk of Covington County, including Andalusia. Let me animate this over the past hour. That's a small cell moving its way off to the east here. And the atmosphere is still unstable. As I mentioned earlier, that cold front is still pretty far to the north of us, so it's tapping into some of that energy in the atmosphere and producing some heavy rainfall and some hail at this point too. Around Paul, moving into Covington County, so red level, initially getting some rain, and then maybe some of that heavy rain to move in, depending on how this evolves here in the next half hour or so. In Andalusia, you will have to watch this cell as it moves in from the east. I'm going to pop over to the camera here and see if I can adjust this camera real quick. All right, take a sip of water too. All right, we're on the flowers cam real quick if you can. Josh, I'm going to punch over to the EEC camera. So this is on the east side, east-south, actually the west-southwest side of Enterprise. So looking out in the distance, we can maybe see the top, maybe it's that cell or it's a different cell, but that kind of gives you an idea as we look to the west there of Enterprise of the convective nature of the atmosphere. So we've got this cloud top still going up there, instability in the atmosphere. That area has not seen much rainfall yet, so it's still fair game for some new thunderstorm activity to develop. I'll zoom out here just a little bit to kind of get your bearings, basically looking west there towards Covington County. So we're going to keep watching that area, that perspective from that camera as the showers and storms move off to the east there. So yeah, that's that cell right there, that cloud is billowing up. That's the one we're looking at here. It's a small storm moving into Covington County, but it's packing a punch. Go ahead and flip me around if you can, Josh, and pop up Max 2 full screen. That's a small cell, but that's the one severe thunderstorm warning that we have in effect right now, and the warning is really for the hail threat with that cell. And if this holds together, it does move right into the city of Andalusia. So if you have anyone that you know in Andalusia, or maybe you are in Covington County in the path of this cell, I would say if you have a vehicle outside, move that somewhere safe just in case this cell holds together and moves on through. Because, hail damage, I had hail damage to my truck back on January 9th of 2024 when that cell came through here. It was like $5,700 in damage. I mean, it adds up. Hail damage is significant to vehicles. So definitely try to protect your property if you can. That cell now moving into Covington County, south and southwest of Red Level, basically just west of Andalusia. I'm going to go big view here and kind of show you what else we're tracking, just so we're not losing track of what's happening there in Georgia. Some good rainfall coming out through Miller County. The rain wrapping up more or less in Houston County. Still some pockets of some moderate rain out there, but nothing real significant. This storm activity in Jackson County shifting south now of I-10. Some decent lightning with that cell in Washington County, and still some gusty winds with that cell. That one is flying on through Washington County. Very gusty winds moving into the northern part of Bay County. This is some rain, kind of a stable atmosphere, so nothing real widespread. Most of that in Geneva County, and then probably moving back into Houston County, and then overtaking Jackson County. That indicates a fairly stable atmosphere. And even northward through, say, Coffee County, the atmosphere is a little bit more stable because we had some earlier convection, not completely incapable of producing some strong storms still. So we'll keep watching the cell, but generally a good chunk of the area is winding down. That said, we are watching this one cell here in Covington County, a severe thunderstorm warning with this cell for hail. That's the main threat that we're watching here with this cell in Covington County, is the hail threat. So there's Evergreen, and then 84 there travels towards Andalusia, and it's basically between Evergreen and Andalusia that we have this cell. This one is almost moving a little to the north of due east, so it's feeding off the instability still in the atmosphere, and will likely hold at least into the western, maybe central parts of Covington County, with the potential for some hail. This is the hail plot, and I'll animate this, and there's a hail core showing up. So we haven't seen that blue color yet today, watching the storms earlier in Houston County and early in Miller counties, but we're seeing it now. So that indicates pretty decent sized hail, probably penny, nickel sized hail. May pulse to 1 inch hail. I want to completely take that off the table here as it moves into Covington County. So some hail, some heavy rainfall, and some gusty winds. But as you look at the wind structure here, this is not screaming severe by any means. I'm going to switch over to the other radar view. That's the Mobile radar. That's the Fort Rucker radar. And what we're looking at basically are the strongest winds right in through here, just kind of to the north of where that hail core is. So the main severe threat with this cell in Covington County is hail, and it could be penny size, maybe a little bit larger, could pulse to nickel or quarter size. Nickel size is 0.88 inches technically, so a little bit larger than a nickel makes it a severe thunderstorm technically. So there's Paul on the map, and there's, I haven't seen that before, Loango in Covington County, but there's a pocket of hail, that area of dark red here, and there's some really, really heavy rain surrounding that hail core. So a lot of torrential rain with this cell. I'll go back over to the wind structure here. Not seeing any significant wind with that hail core. So you've got basically some lighter winds and very, very heavy rainfall and some hail mixed in the western part here of Covington County. If this holds together, it passes pretty close to Andalusia, maybe just to the north or northwest of Andalusia. Red Level seeing some rain come in now from the west. That storm a little bit weaker. Some of the reds have gone away, and we're looking at oranges. There's not a ton of lightning with this cell here in Covington County, so we'll keep watching for that also, because if we see an uptick in lightning, that would indicate an uptick in the hail size. If there's a decrease in lightning, usually that leads to a decrease in the rain or storm intensity. Not always, but typically that is the case. So we're going to watch that cell. In fact, there's really not a lot of lightning with that cell in general. There have been some lightning strikes with that hail core, but it's not a real significant lightning producer as of this point. There's some of the lightning strikes. I'm going to go back here just a little bit. And yeah, so right there, right around Paul, we had some pretty good lightning strikes, a couple more. So yeah, we're seeing some, and if you notice, those lightning strikes are occurring pretty much with that hail core. So like right there, for example, right with that hail core. So this core is shifting its way to the east. There's a look at Andalusia and Loango, I hope I'm saying that right, River Falls, and Beck. All these areas are in the middle of this storm. I'm going back over to my live feed here. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the comment section of the News 4 Facebook feed page. All right, so watching this hail core, that's the main action that we're watching anywhere in the Wiregrass. I'm going to save this as a new element here, and I'm going to punch around a little bit and maybe turn some of these off and give you a recap of what we're looking at here on this Saturday afternoon. Thank you for tuning in here as we track the showers and storms moving on through the Wiregrass. Some of these have been pulsing at times, producing some small hail and some gusty winds also. Not a tremendous severe weather setup by any means. I mean, I've stood here so many times in the month of January and covered some really big time severe events. I take you back to 2017 when on January 2nd we had that tornado and straight line wind event come on through Rehoboth over towards the National Peanut Festival Fairgrounds and had a loss of life that night. Nothing like that, thankfully. That same year, January 21st, 22nd of 2017, big storms came on through the Wiregrass. We had big storms into Georgia and fatalities that weekend, a big tornado outbreak. Again, January 9th of 2024, we had that storm cluster move in from the south and produce tornadoes and hail. So this time of year can turn very, very volatile. This is a lower end threat day compared to what we've seen in recent history in January. So kind of keep that in mind. We're doing this coverage just in case storms like this pulse and produce some significant wind or some hail. This is not a tornado setup today. The wind structure is more favorable for some hail and for some damaging straight line winds. But even that threat is low, and the tornado threat is very, very low today. Whenever there's severe weather, you can't completely take tornadoes out of the picture because they can happen sometimes with very little warning and can sometimes form and dissipate within the matter of minutes in our part of the country. So there's always usually a very, very low end risk of a tornado. But there are certain situations where it's almost like a guarantee that tornadoes will occur. This is not one of those setups. It's a rain setup, it's a lightning setup, and it's a hail setup here and there, but overall severe chances are low. The heavier rainfall now south of I-10 in the Panhandle into southwest Georgia, moving out of the Panhandle. Much of the atmosphere northward and westward is much more stable. That said, there's one little storm that is still pulsing back to the west of us that we're watching, and we'll zoom in right there into Covington County, watching this cell here, a small hail core that has prompted the National Weather Service in Mobile to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for this cell. Over to the hail plot. Again, this lingers, I should say this lags behind the radar view a little bit, but you get the idea that the hail core kind of pulsed there and then is weakening a little bit, but it's still there. There's still some hail with this cell as we look at the western part here of Covington County, Loengo south of there, and then to the west of Andalusia, moving its way to the east. If you have any questions here, let me know. Let's see, Patricia's watching from PCB. Let's go down there because we're watching that area too. Speaking of Panama City Beach, check out this rainfall coming on through. There's some torrential rain with this cell moving on through Bay County, and there's been some heavy rainfall with this cell too, and there are some pockets of hail within this cell and likely some winds over 40 miles per hour moving into the northern part of Bay County and the southern part of Washington County, and that is some serious rainfall coming on through the beaches right now. Laguna Beach starting to see lighter rainfall come in, but notice all the lightning strikes offshore of Panama City Beach kind of nosing right into the area around, say, Panama City, southward to Callaway, and then down towards Tyndall, and then even Mexico Beach, seeing some really heavy rainfall. So some of these areas, it's kind of like a fire hose being shot into the coastline. A quick 2 to 3 inches of rain, a possibility, and that will lead to some localized flooding along some of the roads there in Bay County and Gulf County as it moves off to the east there. So some really heavy rainfall. And I'm still watching that area. Blew on through Ebro, north of Southport, north of Lyndhaven. There's very, very heavy rain and very gusty winds and probably some small hail mixed in with that cell. No warning in effect for that cell, but they're getting pounded there in Washington and Bay counties right now with that activity. Moving off to the east, a good soaking rainfall, and that's what we need everywhere is a good soaking rainfall. but we don't want the wind damage that can sometimes occur when you get big-time storms like that. So we're watching that area. That's really where the worst weather is, and the best chance for severe is from Panama City northward into Jackson County and then eastward. But generally, this is just some decent rain and not much in the way of any severe threat at all. The hail threat is non-existent in Jackson County and in southwest Georgia right now, Seminole and Miller counties, but there's a lot of rain and gusty winds in excess of 30 miles per hour. Again, watching that racing of that cell through Washington and Bay counties there, and then the torrential rainfall farther southward. The one warning that we have in effect as we look big view is right there in basically Covington County, and there are some more cells that are popping up farther to the west. These are kind of drifting their way down to the south and to the southeast, and some of these probably have some small hail with them as well. I'll switch over to the hail plot, and maybe there'll be some, little hints of gray, so a little hint right there, a little hint right there. So just the beginning of some maybe pea-sized hail with those cells. These are not real significant. This cell has the most significant hail with it, but even here in Covington County, I'm not seeing a real strong hail signature. So you see a little bit of gray showing up there. It did pulse earlier into the blue shades. If I go back here just a little bit, right around Paul, that usually indicates hail that will do some damage. When it kind of fades a little bit to a gray color like that, it's not nearly as bad. But hey, there's still some hail out there in Covington County, still some heavy rainfall also, and that is really the only storm inland that is impacting our area, and by that I mean Covington County and points eastward. Now, some of these may pulse here around Bruton, for example, produce some heavy rainfall and some small hail and some lightning strikes, but that's just to the west of our area of coverage. The southern part of Geneva County, looking at some rainfall into Holmes County. That's a good soaking rainfall. That's exactly what we need, is a rain like that, a light to a moderate rain that just gently falls and soaks the ground and lasts for a while. Heavier rainfall approaching 231 now. It's in Washington County at the current time, but from, say, the intersection around 231 and I-10 southward, we'll get some pretty heavy rainfall. Mariana, Jackson County, scattered rain, a few thunderstorms mixed in, but not a lot of lightning farther inland. Most of the lightning has been down towards the coast. Dothan, we're quiet now. A couple light showers or sprinkles may affect the central and southern part of the city, and then into parts of Georgia, likely some light rainfall to come on through, but that severe threat has really wound down, which is some good news. The severe threat overall was low to begin with, but what storms that we've had out there have weakened a little bit. Watching what's happening here, interesting because you've got a southeastward motion with these cells, and then you've got kind of a west to east motion with that cell. So there's a little bit of a, you see that, like a little bit of a spin in the atmosphere, more or less, that's occurring right there. Not a spin that would indicate tornado development or anything like that, but just a sign that there's some, different factors and variables at play in the atmosphere. Not much to look at as far as the velocity goes. I'll animate this over the last little bit. Some pockets of gusty winds with each one of those cells, but I'm not seeing any indication of any severe wind moving into Covington County. And as we look at the hail plot, I'm not seeing a big indication of any severe hail with that cell, but there's some heavy rainfall moving on through the western part of Covington County. This warning will go for a while, I'm guessing. Let's just see what time that warning goes until. 3:30, so 27 more minutes. We'll see if they cancel that early. This is a different office, Mobile, issuing this one, not Tallahassee, but I don't see that being a severe thunderstorm right now. Just not seeing any indication of any severe, legit severe weather with that cell, but probably some small hail here still in place off to the west of Red Level, and then off to the west of Andalusia, some heavy rainfall and maybe a little bit of hail. But again, severe hail means 1 inch in diameter or greater, so larger than the size of a nickel. And we're not seeing hail that big right now, but we're seeing some decent rainfall. No lightning strikes. So once you see the lightning kind of fade typically the hail size kind of fades also, and that looks to be the case. Now, there's a little bit of a cell merger happening here, where one cell is dropping to the south, and this cell's kind of moving in, and these two cells have become one cell. We call that a cell merger. So not too far away from red level, off to the west of River Falls, Andalusia. We'll see if that increases the updraft here in this cell and maybe creates a bit of a pulse or a spike right in through here as those cells come together. Sometimes that happens where they come together, you get a little burst of rising air motion and a quick intensification of that cell, and then it weakens again. So if that were to occur, I'll pause this. It would be occurring basically right now. Right, come on, pause now. And then I swear I clicked this 3 times sometimes before it works. I'll zoom in right here. Zoom in tight. Probably right here. So there's 84. So basically right in through this area of Covington County, we'll see if these two cells really come together, and this area turns basically to red, which would indicate some heavier rainfall coming on through. That's the worst of the weather in Covington County right now. That severe thunderstorm warning does include the city of Andalusia, but that threat overall for 1-inch hail or 60-mile-per-hour winds is very, very low. Stronger cells southward where there are no warnings coming on through the panhandle right now. Youngstown seeing that cell approach from the west. 231 is going to be a mess. So if you have anyone that maybe, it's a Saturday, went shopping down to Panama City or vice versa, went from Panama City up towards Dothan to go shopping, and they're traveling back this afternoon, it's going to be just kind of a slow go on 231. And with rain like that, I worry about the ponding on the roadway. 231 and I-10, that area very wet. And then all of the roads, for example, 98 running along the beaches, I mean, that's a very wet ride right now with that torrential rainfall coming on through. And that fire hose effect moving into Callaway and Tyndall right now. It is really, really pouring down there in the southern part of Bay and Gulf counties. Northward, the heaviest rainfall is basically from Mariana southward, not so much northward, kind of a light to moderate rain taking place there. Do we have, no, I was hoping we'd get Eglin back, the radar back, but we do not have it back. We've got the Tallahassee radar and the Fort Rucker radar, but yeah, we do not have the Eglin radar. Okay, so northward here, looking at Houston County, a couple showers left over from what we saw earlier, some light rainfall moving on through. Blakely, you're dry now. Miller County, the worst weather is off to the east of you, so much of the Wiregrass is pretty tranquil right now, really. The one cell that we're watching is right here in Covington County. This warning goes until 3:30 Central Time. Hey, a lightning strike there, so there could be a little uptick there with that cell merger occurring, a little uptick in the returns somewhere west of River Falls, south of Red Level, right along 84 more or less. And there's still the chance for some hail to form with this cell. In Andalusia now, what we're looking at is a light to a moderate rainfall. There's no significant rain with that cell at this point, and there's really no significant sign of big hail. There's a hail plot. So you just see a little bit of a gray spot showing up there in Covington County, which would indicate small hail, maybe pea-sized hail with this cell. Back over to the reflectivity view. So what we're picking up on is that little hail core right there. A lightning strike near that hail core, so that indicates that you've got pretty good rising air motion still with this cell. It is moving its way eastward. Now the cells back to the west are kind of dropping down to the southeast, but the other cell here is moving more or less eastward. So right along 84 from Andalusia over towards the county line, it is pouring. These cells pulsing here too, farther westward, and these will drop down to the southeast. So there's a chance that areas around, say, Falco could see some of that storm activity move in over the next half hour or so. A small chance, a low-end chance of some gusty winds or some hail with these cells also, but not a robust severe threat with really any of the cells moving on through today. But there's that cell merger occurring. That one cell dropping down to the southeast, one moving in from the west to the east, and they're coming together over the western parts of Covington County. A happy marriage of cells occurring on the Saturday in the western part of Covington County. Heavy downpours, still some small hail mixed in with that cell. Is it technically severe? 60-mile-per-hour winds or 1-inch hail? I'm not seeing that at this point, but we're watching that cell as it moves on through Covington County. That's a look at base velocity winds. So basically, what are the winds doing in the atmosphere? And we're not seeing anything real strong. And we have a good look at it because the radar beam is coming in from the east. That storm is moving to the east, and we've got basically a straight-on view. And if we had strong to severe winds, we would certainly see a brightening of the radar returns here on the base velocity, and we are not, which is good. Tells me that there is no damaging winds occurring with that cell. No rotation areas showing up with that cell. A little bit of a cell merger occurring, but again, not seeing any signs of any rotation with that cell. I'll go back over to reflectivity, animate this over the past hour. Looks like a new scan just came in. So now we've got just one cell there in Covington County. We've got this cell pulsing here a little bit farther to the east, southeast of Evergreen. And then as we go a little bit farther west and southwest of there, kind of a train of cells, if you will, all the way into the southern part of Alabama towards Mobile. But odds of these being severe or significant, pretty low. I'm kind of surprised, kind of not surprised that they have not dropped that warning for Covington County. I'm not seeing severe criteria being met with that cell. It's raining heavily. There's probably really good lowering with this cell because of the warm and humid air that's in place, but I'm not seeing any signs of 1-inch hail or winds of 58 miles per hour or greater. Punch over, if you can, real quick, Josh, to the Enterprise cam. And I'm going to take a sip of water as we track these showers and storms coming out through. Take that full screen. Go ahead. Yeah, well, I'm going to take a sip of water. It's just water. So there's looking westward in Enterprise from the EEC, Enterprise Electronics Corporation camera, looking eastward, I should say looking westward towards Covington County. So there's that cell that is in Covington County, producing some heavy rainfall and probably some small hail here and there. That cell is moving eastward. It's not moving eastward very quickly, but it is moving its way to the east and may make it into Andalusia with heavy rainfall, but I'm not seeing a real strong, severe threat from that cell. And that may be the last warning, knock on wood, that we see today, because this setup is kind of fading for a good chunk of the area. Okay, back to graphics. Big view. I've got that cell up. Go ahead and swap that, Josh. I got that cell up there in Covington County that we're tracking, and then the showers and storms farther southward into the Panhandle. So there's the one cell with that severe thunderstorm warning in Covington County. That goes until 3:30, another 19 minutes or so. We've got some showers and storms east of us between Albany and Bainbridge, some decent rain there, and some of those cells are popping up. You see that there off to the west of Albany. These are new cells that are developing, and those may be robust as they approach Albany. And then southward, that area around Bainbridge is primed. I think there'll be some more activity, kind of fill in or turn a little bit stronger in that part of Georgia. This light rain that we're seeing across the far northern part of the Panhandle into Jackson County now and the southern part of Alabama, Geneva, and Houston counties really indicates a much more stable atmosphere. So that severe threat is over in that part of the Wiregrass. This probably won't make it too far to the east here because the atmosphere is a little bit more stable. Now it's still warm, it's still humid, but we don't have the convergence that we had earlier today that produced the showers and the storms. So a lot of different components to creating severe weather, a lot of ingredients need to come together to produce some strong to severe storms. And we've had some in place here and there, but just not an ideal setup today for severe weather. One severe thunderstorm warning ongoing, that is in Covington County here as of 3:12. Southward, some showers, some thunderstorms mixed in, some heavy rainfall. Jackson County is going to end up being one of the winners today when it comes to rain totals because the entire county is seeing some decent rainfall and some really heavy rain in pockets from Mariana southward into the rest of the Panhandle. In fact, some torrential rain farther southward. Check that out. Between I-10 and the coast, it is just pouring. If I put my hand right here, basically over Callaway, over the past hour, there's been just some torrential rain moving in, a lot of lightning strikes too coming in from the coast. That one cell that we've been watching for a long time is now moving into Youngstown there, the northern and northeastern part of Bay County, very, very wet. and very stormy. A lot of lightning strikes out there, and then a good chunk of Gulf County seeing some torrential rain move on through Port St. Joe. Just north of you, just north really of Mexico Beach now, we've got some heavy rainfall. So we're watching that area. Inland is just a light rainfall there in Holmes County over towards Bonifay and Chipley, the southern part of Geneva County into the southern part of Houston County. Rain, Geneva, some light shower activity into the southern part of Houston County. Mayhaw, we had some good rain earlier, kind of wrapping up for you. And the city of Dothan is dry. We may get a couple sprinkles to kind of skirt the southern part of the city, but for the most part, the rain is done for Dothan. Northward has been really hit or miss today. Not as much rainfall in, say, Barber County or Pike County or Dale County or Henry County, or really even Enterprise and Coffee County. Not a lot of rain overall. Areas north of Andalusia have been relatively dry. So they did drop that warning for Covington County, which makes sense because this cell is not severe. It is producing some heavy rainfall coming on through Andalusia and probably still some small hail with that little pocket of dark red. We've had that cell merger occur, and it's kind of cool. Let me pause it here and zoom in. I'll back this up just a little bit. So we had the one cell here, then we had one cell here, and they came together, and when they come together, you see how now that area filled into dark red? You've got a couple more lightning strikes occurring. I don't have anything. I like to have visuals. I don't have anything to show you, but if you take two things, you bring them together into one, and it's going to create rising air motion. So that's why you have this little uptick there in lightning strikes, kind of a collision of storms. So one cell, they come together, boom, you get some lightning strikes to occur, and now you've got this hail core re-intensifying a little bit there by River Falls. So this may briefly here kind of pulse. I think it's pulsing right now. Will it last very long? Probably not, but at least in the short term over a small area, even though the warning has gone away, we're seeing a little uptick there in the hail potential just to the west of Andalusia and then just to the west of River Falls. So one recent lightning strike, one pocket of dark red here. That's the small hail core that is lingering here in Covington County. There's Highway 84, so that area just west and southwest of River Falls, just northwest of Andalusia. There is some hail, probably small hail, maybe dime-sized, the worst of it right now. We'll see if the next scan comes in and shows any darker red or that pink purple color showing up. That would indicate a rising storm, more development. But we're not seeing any more lightning strikes. So we had a couple pulse there briefly when we had that cell merger occur right there. Those two strikes were right there. 3 strikes. So you had 3 strikes basically in that same area. Boom, boom, boom. And so there's the pulse now. So storms come together. Air rises, goes up high in the sky. The cloud particles bump together, especially the ice crystals, produces charges. You get lightning strikes. So everything kind of works together. So as we analyze, we're looking at, okay, cell merger, rising air motion, lightning. That would probably uptick the hail threat, and it has here briefly, just around River Falls and just off to the west of River Falls, right over 84 at this point. The cell coverage is not good in that part of Covington County. So if you're trying to call someone that's maybe on the road, maybe that call is not going through. But if you can give them a call, hey, let them know that by River Falls on 84, there's a pocket of hail. So I would say if I were driving, hang out here, don't drive through that hail core because you might end up with a little bit of vehicle damage. That is the worst cell, the strongest cell that we're seeing inland in Alabama. Now, there are some small hail cores showing up with these other cells farther to the west. So there's a little hail core right there. That is probably a little more significant than the one that's in Covington County now, that extra layer of dark right there compared to what we're seeing with that cell right there. So a couple pockets of some small hail. These storms kind of pulsing. Another one here, Appleton to Kirkland, a little bit of hail pulsing with that cell, and then a little hail core with this one. These have, they look like little hooks almost, right? A little one there, a little one there. If we look at the base velocity, I'm not seeing any kind of a rotation signature, but you got some pockets of gusty winds built in, decent lightning with this cell. So yeah, that hail core looks a little bit better with that cell. That's by Atmore, dropping down to the southeast. Yeah, I mean, not terrible. Some individual cells down here by Daphne, north of Fairhope, Bay Minette, looking at a decent cell there. And then kind of like I said earlier, like cars on the train track, you know, one car here, 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 and then into Covington County. These have some hail cores with them and some heavy rainfall, but not a real robust, severe signature with any of these. These are probably dime-size hail, maybe penny-size hail in spots. We'll zoom back in here to Covington County. So the core of that cell, I'll go to right now, is right over River Falls, and there's been that uptick in lightning too. So lightning, small hail core, probably some decent rain and some decent small hail. Could be, you know, this is usually a setup where we've got a bunch of really small hail, maybe a bunch of like frozen peas falling from the sky, kind of like that kind of a setup around River Falls along 84 right now. If you are in the chat and if you see anything in Covington County, go ahead and let me know. I am on the News 4, WTVY News 4 Facebook page, the main stream that is up. I've got that going on my phone, so if you comment, there's my phone. If you comment, I can see your comments, and you can let me know what you're seeing, if you're seeing anything significant in Covington County in particular, because now much of the area is pretty quiet right now. 3:20 on a Saturday afternoon, watching a few showers and storms from Covington County back to the west-southwest into the lower part there of Alabama, and then watching a lot of rainfall, more or less, some lightning strikes, but no significant storminess in our area, Jackson County into Seminole County or Miller County. Just some rain out there. The worst weather has been farther southward, Bay and Gulf counties in Florida, some heavy rain and some gusty winds. No severe weather warnings down there, but a good soaking rainfall. Boy, that whole area, Marianna to, say, Callaway and then eastward towards Tallahassee is going to see a bunch more rain. And they've already seen some good rainfall in that part of the Panhandle today. So they're going to see a lot more rainfall come on through, and that is exactly what that area needs because it has been so dry for so long in that part of the Panhandle. The worst drought ongoing has been right in through here, so good to see them getting some good rainfall. All right. Anything else we have coming in? What about Dothan, Diane? Dothan looks good. The rain is south of town. The atmosphere is more stable here, so I don't foresee anything significant happening in Dothan for the rest of today. Looking pretty good. Really, the only thing I'm really watching is in Covington County, and I don't think there's much eastward extent for this activity to move into, say even Opp. I just don't see that threat. The atmosphere is a little bit more stable, and then as you go farther eastward into Coffee County, the atmosphere is more stable. So that severe threat is really confined now to areas just west of us and then areas southeast of us. And these cells, as they drop down to the south, I'm going to back this up a little bit, that atmosphere has been worked over a little bit by those storms earlier. Yeah, so that whole northern part here of Okaloosa and Walton counties has already seen some storm activity come on through. So this area has been hit already. These storms are moving in, and these might not make it too much farther southward, just because once you get a round of storms like this to move on through, it tends to kind of stabilize the atmosphere. I'm going to back this up a little bit and kind of just analyze basically what we're looking at here. This is 1 hour, right? This is 2 hours. I'm going to go back 3 hours. I'll go back 3 hours here, see what has happened in that whole window. All right, so I'm just analyzing here. Had some decent rainfall south of Enterprise earlier. Spotty activity earlier around Andalusia. You know, there really hasn't been a lot, I guess, over towards Opp or Elba today. Yeah, not a ton. So I think there's still some chance there. I'll back this up a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit earlier by Elba. Opp's been pretty quiet. So yeah, there's still some instability in the atmosphere, but we've had these boundaries come out too. So yeah, the atmosphere's been stabilized more or less from, say, Covington County eastward and southward. So these probably don't have much staying power. If we go back here and just animate this over the past little bit, we use the mobile radar here and see how these look. And still some hail pockets farther westward here where the atmosphere is more unstable. That cell, though, moving into Covington County has certainly weakened a little bit compared to what it was like earlier when it was west of Covington County. We'll zoom in here with the Fort Rucker radar. And let's go to right now, and still looking at that one little hail core between Andalusia and River Falls, and still some lightning. So again, this area's got some potential. I wouldn't completely take it off the table for some strong storms, but there's some hail occurring right now. Again, not real big hail, but small pea-sized hail, probably multiple hailstones falling at the same time. If you have anything to share from that part of Covington County, go ahead and let me know in the chat on the News 4 Facebook page, and I'll share that with everyone else if they're not watching the comments come in. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 lightning strikes here recently. So this is the worst weather that we have left anywhere in the Wiregrass between River Falls and Andalusia in Covington County. A non-severe thunderstorm that is producing some small hail as of 3:24 p.m. here on Saturday, moving its way eastward pretty slowly overall, kind of drifting its way to the east and kind of down to the southeast as well. So we've seen some pretty good rainfall in Andalusia now for going on 25 minutes. And we'll have more rain coming in over the next at least 20 minutes as it moves in from the west and the northwest here. So some heavy rainfall between River Falls and Andalusia on 84, the northwest and north side of the city. Some lightning strikes out there. So if you're watching from Covington County, you're hearing the lightning, you're hearing the thunder, I should say, from the lightning. We know that there's some heavy rain and some small hail mixed into that cell there between River Falls and Andalusia. Some of that extending towards Sanford right now, Cedar Grove, some shower activity south of you, but this is a really small cell overall. If you look at it from a bigger perspective, we know when you zoom in, it looks huge on the screen, but then you zoom out and you realize, okay, that's a really, really small cell there in Covington County, and these cells are pretty small back to the west over towards Bruton, for example, some small cells producing some heavy rainfall and some pockets of small hail. I'll go over to the big view for the hail plot here, and let that plot whatever there is out there, and there's just not, looks like, yeah, I'm not seeing anything show up there on that plot. There should be a little bit of hail, though, with that cell still in Covington County. I don't know if it's plotted yet. Yeah, it has. So there it was, right there, right by River Falls, just a little bit of gray. You see that little speck right there? So that's gone away, and if we go over to the reflectivity, looks like whatever hail is occurring is right here. So that's the updraft, and that's why we could still see some hail with this cell just northwest now of Andalusia. Yeah, I mean, just from downtown, a couple miles. So that pocket of dark red, that's some heavy rainfall and some small hail. We're kind of stretching it here because, I mean, this is not a severe thunderstorm, but this is the worst of the worst that we have in our area, which is some good news because sometimes we stand up here and we track some really, really significant storms, and that is not the case at this hour. We are looking at some light to moderate rainfall, some pockets of intense rain southward in the Panhandle. Everything is shifting to the east here and kind of getting out of our area. And that threat, for the most part, will be shifting farther eastward as we go through the rest of today. Even though we do have a couple cells kind of lingering here back to the west, these are not real significant, all things considered. We'll zoom in here real quick to the northern part of Early County. Little cell popping up there just to the north of Blakely. That cell cluster also moving off to the east-southeast and will be moving out of our area here. This is the 1 hour animation. I'm going to go back over 3 hours. So there's been a little bit of rainfall there in the northern part of Early County. And it looks like we will see a few more showers and storms pop up, at least showers pop up as we get that cold front to come in the next, say, 2 to 3 hours or so. But the odds of any severe weather from this point forward really pretty low for most of the Wiregrass. We'll keep watching these cells here and there, but that's some rainfall with a little bit of small hail mixed in areas just northwest of Andalusia. Radar view here down to the south, Graceville, some light showers towards Mariana, some light to moderate rainfall. Then some pretty good totals to really come in before it's all said and done from Mariana southward to Panama City. It is pouring now along 231. Still raining really good in Panama City over towards Tyndall. Mexico Beach, looking at some rainfall about to come in there and really intensify here, kind of moving in on the west side there of Mexico Beach. And then northward up into Jackson County and Seminole County, some rain, but no severe weather with any of these cells. It's been a while now since we've had any severe activity locally, as in far southeast Alabama, again recently in Covington County. A new cell up there in Albany with that cell, moving just to the north of town, and that area probably a little more primed for severe weather for the rest of the afternoon hours. We'll zoom back in here to Covington County and watch that one little cell still producing probably a little bit of small hail just to the north of Andalusia. One lightning strike with that hail core. If any of you are watching from Covington County and from Andalusia, if you could just comment on the News 4 Facebook post, let me know here in the next minute or so if you're seeing anything. That would be great. But this is probably just some small pea-sized hail and some heavy rainfall with an occasional lightning strike mixed in. So all things considered, this has panned out to be a low-risk kind of a day. Decided to come in and do some coverage for you just to kind of let you know what is happening as we track the showers and storms moving on through the Wiregrass. It's, days like this are interesting because earlier today, for example, in Dothan, you look at the sky and it looks ominous. I mean, low-hanging clouds, dark clouds, it's warm, it's humid, and it sometimes feels identical to a really, really bad severe weather day, even though we don't have the same ingredients in place. So it's kind of nice to have an overview of what is happening in the weather and kind of to let you know more or less that, hey, it's not real bad today, all things considered. Some showers, some storms coming on through, some pockets of small hail. I don't anticipate any hail reaching 1 inch in diameter in our area from this point forward. I don't anticipate any winds reaching severe weather criteria, which is 58 miles per hour or greater. Some of these cells may pop up and pulse here and there as we go through the rest of today and produce some heavy rainfall, maybe some small hail, maybe some winds over 30 miles per hour, but that severe threat that was so small earlier is even smaller right now. All right. Hey, Megan, thank you. She's at the Walmart in Andalusia, and light rain, no hail, occasional lightning strikes out there. So Megan in Andalusia, really appreciate you sharing that with us. I love the fact that the Facebook stream allows us to communicate back and forth. You can tell me what you're seeing. I can share with you what I'm seeing on the radar from that view. So it's a really cool back and forth, and the technology is really nice these days. So yeah, that's an update from Andalusia. Some light rain in pockets, some heavy rainfall in pockets. Still a small chance for some hail to mix in with these cells, but the activity is certainly looking pretty tame overall in our area. So we're going to wrap up the live stream here on this Saturday. I'm going to kind of just keep watching the radar here in the background, but you can kind of tell the worst weather is shifting southeast and east of us. Much of the Wiregrass pretty quiet right now, outside of a few more showers and thunder showers that may pop up. And there could be a rogue warning left over here or there, but I'm not anticipating any kind of a significant severe outbreak going forward here. And certainly a very, very, very low tornado threat today. It's been more of a rain threat, hail threat, gusty wind threat. And again, that threat overall, all those threats are diminishing here in the Wiregrass. So, hey, thanks for watching here, the live streams today on the News 4 platforms that we have. And of course, we will be here as we go through severe weather season to keep you updated on what is happening ahead of time and then during the events. And if you follow along on social media, on the website, we've been monitoring this for days and letting you know that, hey, this is a chance come Saturday for some severe weather. And we'll do that because going forward that we're going to have some significant severe events come on through the Wiregrass. We do every single year. January, prime time. February, March, April, May, even into June, sometimes some big storms moving on through the Wiregrass. So we'll consider this a little bit of a warm-up, shake the dust off. We haven't done this in a while. And get ready for the next event that rolls on in at some point. January is one of those months where it can feature, you name it. I mean, we can be 70s and humid and stormy. We can be, as you saw last winter, very, very cold and very, very snowy as well. So a lot to watch here. It does look like it cools down by the middle portion of January. So that's it for the live stream today. If anything else does happen, we have to let you know. We will, but overall, it looks pretty good here from this point forward. So I guess enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for being here with me today, and I'll see you soon. Y'all take care.
You've been watching a News 4 First Alert Severe Weather Update. For more weather updates, download the free WTVY First Alert Weather app.